His time is 5 to 7 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. Steve is a self-confessed weather nerd. Tonight he will share with us a quick crash course in understanding what is happening in our Colorado sky. With his speech entitled, "The Colorado Sky, a Crash Course," please welcome Steve Pavelanis.
See how I did that? That was pretty tricky, wasn't it? Title it. All right, let's see if I get the dimmer and all that stuff right. Hey. All right, a little adjustment. Get there.
Is that good or?
If you can focus it a little, it'll be helpful. If not, we can wing it.
It's not really focusing it, sorry.
Okay.
Ah, that's better.
Is that good or?
Good enough?
A little sharper.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Thank you to the AV department, Kenny. I'm Weather Geek. As you guys probably remember a few weeks ago, I actually was a meteorology major at the University of Oklahoma, one of the best weather schools in the country, actually in the world. I grew up with big storms. In fact, I talked to my mom this afternoon at 1 p.m. Tulsa time. They had a huge storm blow through with 80-mile-an-hour straight line winds, and there's all this crazy damage. I was talking to my mom, and when you grow up in Oklahoma, where'd Rich go? Rich used to live in Oklahoma, he will attest. Everyone who's ever lived in Oklahoma is pretty much an amateur meteorologist. When storms come, you run out to the front yard and you take your pictures. I can tell you that being in Colorado now for 3 years, we have cooler stuff in our sky here. There's a reason there's a few National Weather Association offices here is because what you study in a textbook, that's exactly what it looks like here. We are, if you're a geek, we're so blessed. Driving in tonight, there were like 3 or 4, you could see these cumulonimbus forming with these perfect, we'll get into this, handfuls. Anyways, so I'm a geek. I'm going to give you guys a quick little crash course of what is actually happening, what you're seeing up in the sky here in Colorado, so you can also impress your friends with some facts. Maybe I have to do it from over here. All right, a lot of it's cut off, but basically a lot of weather is driven by pressure. What happens, anyone shout it out, what happens when you have a low pressure system? What kind of weather do you get? Storms. Why? It's because it's like the eye of a hurricane. It's a low pressure center. It pulls the winds in, they converge. And as you see here, we've got a low pressure system. The clouds converge, the winds converge, and a storm forms. High pressure system is the exact opposite. So we have diverging winds, and they come down counterclockwise and spread out. So what do you get when you have a high pressure center in Colorado? You get a guy going back and forth on stage. Bluebird days.
Oh.
So these awesome cloudless days up in the mountains that we all love are called bluebird days, and the reason we have this is because we have that high pressure dome preventing any clouds from forming. Sorry, guys. All right. Why do we have storms every afternoon in the mountains? Why do we get clouds every afternoon? It's because of upslope winds. Anybody ever heard of those? No. So what we get is we get heating in the valley and on the mountain in the morning, and the air is thinner in altitude, so it heats up pretty quick. You get the hot air rises here, and then it condenses into clouds. Clouds turn into storms. That's why when you climb a 14er, you need to be going down by lunchtime, otherwise you might get hit by lightning. The opposite happens at night. There's no more solar heating, right? Sun went good night, and now we have this cool mountain air here at altitude, and it falls down the mountain, cooling the valley. So that's that nice mountain breeze comes in at night if you ever stay in the mountains or camped. That's where that comes from. Clouds, I'm going to kind of skip ahead. I think I'm falling a little behind here with my clicker. Basically, and you can't read this anyways, we're just going to talk about a couple of the interesting types of clouds. Let's do that. Cumulus. See them all the time here, cotton candy type clouds, very benign, very innocent. as you see here, these all kind of look like they're on the same level, like the same altitude, right? That's because there's probably a high pressure cap preventing them from growing into storms. What if there's no cap? Cumulonimbus. This is what's all around right now. I hope you guys saw on your way in. So these, again, it's kind of hard to see here, but this is what happens when a storm grows up to about 35,000, 40,000 feet. The top of it gets blown off. What blows it off?
The wind?
Jet stream.
stream.
There you go. Up high, that's where you're hitting those upper level winds. And that flattens off the top of the cloud, and it ends up looking like an anvil. That's why they call this an anvil. So another view of a cumulonimbus here. I wish you could see, that's a really great picture. They also are kind of called pie crust. So this one, it's a really great picture. It's a little too bright to see it. But they look like a gigantic mushroom cloud. They're really pretty cool. All right, so that's a little bit better.
That's a little better.
Thank you. So that's cumulonimbus, and it's hard to see in here, but we're going to get into it here in a sec. On the underside, so this is the same thing from the side. So the storm is headed this way, the anvil's blowing out up top, jet stream's up here, and these are mammatus clouds. They look almost spherical, and they're not really sure exactly what caused them, but think of like a net, and part of the cloud pours through it. So you'll see what it ends up looking like. These little like ball structures. This is a great picture. I wish I could send you guys the presentation after this. So if you ever see that, you're on the underside of a probably severe thunderstorm. Those are called mammatus clouds. All right, hail. We get a lot of hail in Colorado. What causes it? So this is so you can impress your friends. So here we have, this is just like the storms we saw in the previous slides. This is a cumulonimbus. This is the anvil blowing out. This is the very peak, probably 40, 50,000 feet. And this thing survives on warm, humid air. It sucks in the front, and it kicks out the downdraft in the back, cold, dry air. Well, this updraft, if it's strong enough, this is what happens. Ice droplets will form and fall out of the sky here, and they usually evaporate or fall as rain. But if there's enough of an updraft, they get sucked back up into the cloud. They gather more rain. If they stay frozen, they gather another layer of water. They refreeze, fall back down. If it updraft is still strong enough to continue to lift it, it will go through a cycle again and again until it finally spits out. And that's why if you look at a hailstone, it's built in layers, kind of like the rings of a tree. So you can actually cut those in half and look and see how many trips that hailstone went on through the clouds. It's kind of a cool thing to do. So if you see golf ball sized hail or anything like that, that's a pretty crazy storm. So you can impress your friends with that one. This one is lenticular clouds, so these kind of look like a lens or even a UFO, and these are, we only get these around mountains. And this is how they form. This is why they're so unique to mountainous areas. It's kind of hard to see that, but basically when wind is coming here from the west and hits the Rockies, it gets disrupted, then it kind of moves in almost a sine or a cosine wave. And that's what you see here. That's how these clouds form. You get a little bit of an inverted layer here, you get condensation, and these clouds form as little stacks like this. So again, that's something you're only going to see in mountainous areas like Colorado. So in summary, Colorado's pretty awesome. Next time you look up at the clouds and storms here, hailstone, I hope you guys have a better appreciation of it. Definitely impress your friends with what causes a bluebird day and how hailstones are formed. And Toastmasters.
Wow, that was awesome. I learned so much. And in fact, that hail falls up. Is that true? Hail falls up.
It goes up and down.
It goes up.